Aloha, marketing friend. Andrew Walton here with a website review of tavtheduck.com. We're going to be looking at the homepage here and see if we can't improve the conversion rate of this website. So, when we're looking at Web Design 101, especially for actually for any website, for any page that people are landing on, the first and most important question is, am I in the right place? And one way that we can answer that question is with one of two models. The what's in it for me model, that is, what's the benefit of me being here? What am I going to get out of this, right? And then there's also the Simon Sinek start with why model, which is also a benefit, but it's a different and in some sense deeper type of benefit that you get. But either way, the first question is, am I in the right place? Is it worth it for me to spend my time scrolling around this site? Am I going to get something out of it? If we're talking about what's in it for me, that's more um, benefits like speed or gain or avoiding pain. If we're talking about shirts, probably not the best angle because you're not probably most of the time buying a shirt based on price, and you're not going to make the argument here that, oh, if you buy this shirt you're going to be the coolest person on your block or any nonsense like that, right? That's not probably the angle that's going to work best, but that's a what's in it for me type angle. A start with why type angle would be this. Well, let's see, going to this, like impacting the world, connecting with someone's deeper values and identity, which this website is attempting to do. Let's see if we go down, talking about the movement here, having a like tribal name, Tavster. I am a Tavster. This is targeting someone at the level of their identity, and that's a start with Y type angle. So for you might use one angle, the other angle. You might combine them. They're not mutually exclusive. But the first question we have is this doing an effective job of connecting with someone on that level that makes them say, I'm in the right place. I want to check this out more because there's something here for me. So when I read this headline, this is the story of Tav the Duck. His love of travel, taking photographs, probably meeting new people, um, and experiencing different cultures, which should probably be the way that's phrased grammatically. That to me, this doesn't really answer the what's in it for me question or the am I in the right place question. How does this relate to? How does this, if we're using the start with why angle, how does this really connect with my values as a visitor? Now, this idea up top, okay, where are the places you love while changing the world around you? That to me is much closer to this start with why angle. So, what does Tav the Duck? I guess the question is, what does Tav the Duck stand for and stand against? How does Tav the Duck look to change the world? And related to that, how can I, as a visitor with similar and relevant values, um, connect with that, right? Because this is the way this is worded currently is um, focused on the brand, not focused on the visitor. This is the story of Tav the Duck. Okay, that's a fine start. His love for this and this and this and this. It's all about him, not about you, the visitor. Right? So, second person usually is a stronger way to write copy most of the time in most contexts. It's the safest. It's the hardest way to. It's the hardest thing to screw up. It gives you the best chance of success. So, in conjunction with that, this picture, this image, it's like this. If this is about Tav the duck is, a couple pixels high. You can barely see him. You don't really understand what his story is, what his mission is, and actually, you don't really like. I know to look for the duck, but it's almost not. If he is the brand avatar, he's barely present um, here. So here's what's the thing that's done, I think, well is this. I mean, the thing that's done well here is this, like the idea of sharing the story of Tab the Duck. That's a really good starting point, but it has to be developed more. Like, what is the story of Tab the Duck? I have no idea, and it's not made clear here. So if we go down here, okay, Tab's been to 24 countries, 80 cities, and traveled a bunch of miles. What does that mean? To me as a new visitor, I don't understand, because it's what? It's looks like it's a cartoon duck. So this, knowing a little bit more about this site, I mean, I have some of the answers internally, but to a new visitor, this is not clear. So what does Tav the Duck do? Does he travel all over the world in order to stop some injustice, or stand up for a certain group, or what is it, right? It needs a lot more clarification. It needs to be dialed in a lot more. And once that's done, a lot of this copy, a lot of these ideas will maybe not write themselves, but it'll be much easier to be congruent throughout the page, and to show people why they should stay on this page and pay attention. I showed this page to my wife, who's a designer and branding specialist, and her impression at the very start here was, it's not clear that this is even what this is until you scroll down and say, oh, they sell t-shirts, and they sell there's like a coffee mug here. It's not even clear that it's an e-commerce store up here at the top. So with all that being said, things like be a part of the Tabster movement, that doesn't mean anything without clarifying what is Tav the Duck's mission. Who the heck is Tav the Duck in the first place, right? And when I first land on this website, not knowing anything about Tav the Duck or his mission, I believe, his mission, etc., what can you say up here in this top section to give me, the visitor, some sort of reason to stay on the page and to scroll, right? Another thing is, what action do you want me to take up in this header section here? It's good to have some sort of CTA. Like here you can go shop now right on the homepage. This is skincare by Alana, and this gives you lots of options. Well, maybe not lots of options, but you can search, you can choose one of these things, but most importantly, in this hero section or header section, feature section, whatever you want to call it, you can shop now. Here, this is the prime real estate on this page, and I can't take any action here. That is probably not using this real estate in an ideal manner. This is a good idea, but I would probably move it down between sections or something like this, because this isn't, how to put this, a charitable angle. The greater good angle is not the same as what's in it for me, and it's not even really in line with the start with why. It's not entirely that. It's related to it, but I wouldn't lead with, hey, when you buy our stuff, 10% of proceeds go to a charity. That only makes sense if you've already given people a reason to care and a reason to buy in the first place. Then this adds on to that, and it's like, oh, by the way, when you do this, we're also going to go support these causes. Cool. But if that's not in place first, the reason to care and the reason to potentially buy, then this is not meaningful. That's not compelling. Okay, so moving down the page, and the reason I spend most of my time up in the header section is because most people are going to make their decision about whether or not they scroll. This is the 80-20 of your homepage design. This is 80% of all your success, what happens right here. And the things that you say and the things that you show in this section. Everything else, once I've scrolled like this is probably even less than 20% of the success that you have. You have about 2 seconds, somewhere around 2 seconds, to make that first impression and get people to stay on the page here. If you can do that, everything else is, well, it doesn't just take care of itself, but it becomes much easier. My personal preference would not to have these scroll automatically. You can give people the choice, uh, but I find that I'll actually go back to this, just showing people the top products and getting them to take an action. That's sufficient. People don't need all the options; they just need a couple good options, right? So 3 options, absolutely plenty. And what I would probably do is you can have maybe one option with coordinates, one option that's with an image, and if there's another type of option, well, maybe the hoodie, maybe one hoodie, and you can call it, I don't know, your top products or something like this, most popular, something like that. Oops, I flipped my camera around. Good work. Okay, here we're back. So another element here, we have this floating header and floating bar, right? Just like here, you have the floating, here you have a floating discount, right? So that's constantly in front of people's eyes. This is a pretty big what's in it for me, 50% off. Okay, cool. This is, again, not the strongest what's in it for me, not the strong, it's not really the reason to buy, it's that extra reason layered on top. So if you want to have the floating bar going down the page, I would maybe have something in here. It could be a first-time buyer's discount, it could be the promotion of the month, it could be whatever you want it to be, but making the what's in it for me the real bottom line, personal, hedonistic, or selfish benefit, that tends to work better than anything else. So as we scroll down here, these, like, this little bit of story will be, I believe, more compelling if, again, we establish who the heck is Tav the Duck, what the heck is his mission, what's he standing for and against, etc., etc., etc. The same sort of issue strikes here as up here. It's all about Tav the Duck. There's nothing about me as the visitor, and there's no real reason why should I, as the visitor, care that Tav the Duck went to all these places. What do I get out of this? So okay, he went to the 5 boroughs and he knows what makes this place special. Okay, and so that's another thing to look at here. Hoodies. So I think same thing as I've talked about before. If you dial in the mission, the vision, then a lot of this text will probably naturally end up reflecting that. Okay. So with this section, new cities coming soon. Will your city be next? Instead of this, why not a call to action and have people get on an email list to get the next thing that's coming up? But essentially, it looks like the model is, if the model is to get people engaged with this brand, connect with them on an identity level, have them, let's see, join this movement, then it really comes back to explaining what that movement is and why people should care about it. Because you're really, at the end of the day, in order for this to work, right, a t-shirt is a t-shirt is a t-shirt. There are a million different t-shirt sites, so it's not about the shirt. It really is about this movement. So explaining what that is, explaining for yourself first what that is, and then explaining to the visitor what that is,